This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Put the power of Ease to work for you by opening up ease.com and checking out what your local marijuana delivery options are. If you're lucky enough to live in a part of California that's currently allowing for legal marijuana delivery, then you're just a few clicks away from placing an order. If you don't live in California or your search on ease.com reveals that your local area doesn't allow for delivery quite yet, then you can console yourself by opening up ease.com/blog to read their just released 2017 State of Cannabis Data Report, which pulls all sorts of information and wisdom from their aggregated and anonymized sales data flow. One more time, that's ease.com/blog with ease spelled E-A-Z-E. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, January 26th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 418 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is a huge $100 million round of funding just announced by Privateer Holdings, a private equity firm formed to capitalize on legal cannabis with holdings that include Leafly, Marley Natural, and licensed Canadian medical marijuana provider Tilray. The Series C funding comes with a pledge from the company's founders to donate $5 million in company stock towards social justice campaigns, as well as clinical research projects into the medical benefits of cannabis. Previous to this latest round, Privateer raised $7 million in its Series A round in 2013, $75 million in its Series B round 2 years later, and $46 million a little more than a year ago. The company says they will use the proceeds of this latest round to fund and expand their current operations. Open up new cannabis ventures for all the other details and numbers. Bloomberg has a great article up looking at Canada's legal marijuana markets with a particular focus on those companies in the industry trading on public markets. As Bloomberg is reporting, two of Canada's largest medical marijuana companies now each have a valuation in terms of their market capitalization that are higher than the total estimated amount of money all of Canada spent on marijuana in 2017. Canopy Growth's valuation of $6.62 billion Canadian and Aurora's of $6.29 both edge out the estimated $5.7 billion Canadian spent on all cannabis purchases last year in the country. I'm smart enough to admit that I don't know enough about stocks and the markets to offer much perspective here, but this seems like something worthy of noting. Yesterday, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission bumped up the maximum penalties for stores caught selling cannabis to underage buyers from $1,600 and a 10-day suspension of business license to $4,950 and a 30-day suspension. The increased penalties come in the wake of a December sting against state dispensaries to check their compliance with laws restricting sales to people ages 21 years and older, in which almost 20% of tested dispensaries failed. The OLCC said the new levels will be kept in place for 6 months, after which it will reassess how the industry is done in similar stings to follow before deciding whether to make the increased penalties permanent. We'll obviously keep an eye on this one. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Did you know that of all the markets that Ease is active in within California's borders, San Francisco is, for the third year in a row, the top growing market for the past year, with strong pickup in growth in both San Diego and Los Angeles? That's just one of a myriad of useful and valuable facts and figures contained within Ease's 2017 State of Cannabis Data Report, which you can find online over at ease.com/blog, with ease spelled E-A-Z-E. When you need to place an order for legal cannabis within California, or when you just want to learn as much as you can about how and why people purchase marijuana, ease.com is where you should be heading. To place an order for delivery in California, it's just ease.com, and for insight and wisdom, you want ease.com/blog. Thanks to our friends over at ease.com for the support. All right, time for the blitz. I recently reported on a big fundraising deal up in Canada, with the Bank of Montreal becoming the first of the nation's 5 major banks to get involved with financing a legal marijuana project by becoming a lead underwriter of Canopy Growth's $200 million Canadian deal. During an interview in Davos, Switzerland, yesterday during the World Economic Forum, Bank of Montreal CEO Darryl White said that his company was open to considering other industry deals as long as they make it past the bank's stringent due diligence process. A new proposed bill in California would provide in-state banks with a measure of protection to offer banking services to licensed medical marijuana businesses. SB 930 was introduced by State Senator Robert Hertzberg and would make it easier for cannabis businesses to do things like pay vendors, employees, and perhaps most importantly, the state tax office. It's not exactly clear how this would play against federal laws around marijuana, so we'll keep an eye on any progress and developments. High Times Holdings, the company responsible for publishing High Times magazine and producing the well-known Cannabis Cup event series, is planning on raising up to $50 million on the public markets by selling shares at $11 each. The company needs to raise at least $17.2 million in the deal to be listed on the NASDAQ market, as reported by Alan Brochstein over at New Cannabis Ventures. Click on over to New Cannabis Ventures for all the numbers and details on this one. Georgia State Representative Alan Peake, a well-known booster of legalizing medical marijuana, is making big strides in his state house with the introduction of House Bill 645, which would license 2 medical marijuana cultivators and processors to provide cannabis oil to patients in need. On Wednesday, Representative Peake's bill was approved by a unanimous vote to move out of the House Medical Cannabis Working Group to be sent over to the House Judiciary Non-Civil Committee. This is another one we'll keep a track of. Green Market Report has a good piece up about GW Pharma and its marijuana-based epilepsy drug Epidiolex, which it is working to secure FDA approval for. On Wednesday, the company announced that the medical journal The Lancet had published the results from a Phase 3 study of Epidiolex with people living with a rare form of epilepsy. As the Green Market Report is reporting, if successful in the rest of their process, GW Pharma could get the green light to start marketing Epidiolex by the end of the year. The legislative committee working in Maine to implement new adult use and medical marijuana laws wants to delay major changes to its medical marijuana program, but it may be too late to push through legislation to make that happen before the slated February 1st changes occur. The new rules would crack down on caregivers, processors, and testing labs by imposing new penalties, program requirements, and inspections. Yesterday, Maine's Cannabis Legislative Committee voted 12-0 to push back those new rule changes to July, but again, won't be able to accomplish that this side of a passed new bill. Pop open the Portland Press Herald for the full read on this one. And finally for today, we have a nice story out of Pennsylvania about that state's Auditor General and his support for legalized marijuana. The state's top accountability officer, Eugene DePascal, recently issued a press release touting his support for the financial benefits of legalized marijuana, saying that Pennsylvania could bring in at least $200 million a year in tax revenue while saving tens of millions more by not arresting and prosecuting people for cannabis crimes. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo? One is really heavy and the other is a little lighter. Thanks to our sponsor Ease and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.